Okay, on this video, we're going to talk about your liver, and I want to talk at it from 3 different angles. I want to talk about signs you can look at, like right now, you can go look in the mirror. Some of these signs, you can just be watching this video and look at them. I want to talk about what your liver does, because it's like the hardest working organ in our bodies, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about what you can do to support your liver. And those of you who have been diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, what can you do to reverse it? So we got a lot to accomplish in this video, so let's dive in. First thing is, let's talk about the liver. You know, the liver is your hardest working organ in your body, probably next to your brain. I mean, I think most experts would say the brain is the hardest working and most important organ in your body. But the liver is secondary to that whole central nervous system. And here's why. What your liver does is it's a filter for toxins. So think about this for a moment. How many of you have whole house filters where you're making sure that the quality of air within your house is pure, hopefully, and you have to change those filters every single year to make sure they're clean? Or some of us have filters on our water filter system, but we know that filters have to be changed because they get gooked up from all the toxins that are coming through that. So your liver's the same, but we can't quite change the filter. There's nothing, we can't like swap out our liver and just get a new liver. So we have to know when, oh wow, it's getting to a point where the liver needs your love. And if you're not careful, you will be one of those people that now gets diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which, by the way, I just heard a really scary stat on this. And this is why I'm doing this video and why I've done a lot of videos on the liver. 35% of Americans currently have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Like that's disturbing. If your liver goes down, your whole health goes down. And they're expecting it to be 50% by the year 2030. So that's, depending on when you're watching this video, that's only like 6 years from now. We have got a chronic liver disease issue in our country. And whenever there's a chronic issue that keeps building and building and building, we always have to ask ourselves, like, why is it building? And if we go back to this filter concept, it's because our toxic load has increased. You are living in the most toxic time in human history. So when I get to the steps you can take to repair your liver, you're going to want to listen very carefully, because no human on the planet right now is immune from these toxins. But what we can do is stop the toxins going into our mouth. That's a really important one. Okay, so with that in mind, let's dive in. Here's one that's really interesting. And those of you that saw my interview on the Diary of the CEO, we'll put a link for it here on YouTube. Stephen Bartlett asked me about the liver, and we got kind of geeking out on the liver. And some of these I mentioned to him. If you missed that episode, I want to go into a little more detail. Again, you can go watch that. But here's what's interesting is swollen hands and feet is the #1 sign. So think about that for a while. Like, why would swollen hands and feet be a sign of your liver struggling? Well, when your body doesn't know what to do with all the toxins and all the extra glucose that is in your system, and your cells don't know how to get that glucose into the cells, there become storage spots. And many storage spots for all this excess glucose, all this excess insulin, all the excess toxins. We know the belly is a storage spot. For women, we know breasts are a storage spot. The booty is a storage spot. Your body starts to store this extra in places. Honestly, it's trying to save your life. And then after a while, it runs out of storage spots, so it goes to your liver. And it starts to store it all in your liver. And when you get fat, which is really our storage molecule, in fat lives hormones, glucose, and toxins. When the fat has hit the liver, it actually increases pressure in your portal vein. And your portal vein is like one of the main veins in your body that is like taking out the sludge that's in blood out of your liver, and also coordinating all the other veins. Remember, arteries are what carry blood to organs. Veins are what carry blood away from organs. So when the master vein, that portal vein, starts to get congested, then the whole circulatory system goes down, and you're not able to pull blood away from things like your hands and your feet. I've mentioned in other videos that sometimes cracking on the bottom of your feet can be a sign of that inability to pull blood away from your feet. So when we're getting swollen ankles and swollen feet and swollen hands, that can be a sign that your liver is struggling because the portal vein is maxed. Okay, so that's number one, swollen hands and swollen feet. Okay, number two, this is another interesting one. Sometimes you'll feel a little bit of swelling or fullness in your upper abdomen, especially on the right side. So here's a trick, and a lot of these are things I actually look at every single day. I'll definitely always pay attention to my feet and to my ankles and my hands and the swelling there. I also, when I get in bed at night, sometimes I'll just poke in on my liver and see, is it tender? Does it feel full? Does it feel swollen? This is where your liver is. It's on the right side underneath your rib cage. Your rib cage's job is to protect your internal organs, and one of those organs is your liver. So what you want to do is, if you're feeling swelling or a fullness in the upper right hand side, that is a definite get to your doctor quickly, because we've got some liver swelling and stress. But you can also poke underneath your rib cage and see if it's tender and if it feels swollen in there. And if it does, you can get off the ultra processed foods. You could get off alcohol. You can get off the toxic oils, which we'll talk about in a moment, and see if that goes down. See if the swelling changes, see if the tenderness changes, see if the fullness changes. Okay, so those are two really, really good ones. And again, I'm going to give you some suggestions on what you can do, but if these symptoms persist, I really encourage you to go to your doctor and look at having them run some blood tests on you. Number three is sudden fatigue and weakness. So your liver, outside of detoxing you, is also responsible for this metabolic switch that we've been talking about here on this channel, and what I taught you in Fast Like a Girl, what I'm going to continue to talk about in Eat Like a Girl. But that really, energy is a real piece of your liver's job, is to give you energy, and it does it through this metabolic switch. It is in control of the metabolic switch. So your liver knows when you go in to be a sugar burner, it needs to create energy from the glucose that's come in. And your liver is so smart. It knows when you switch over to the fasted state, into that fat burning state, that it actually needs to start to make ketones. And so this is energy management. I was chatting with a woman the other day who was wanting some help with her menopausal symptoms, brain fog, and a few other things. And she asked me what metabolic health meant and what was it. And I always say metabolic health is the most important system in your body because all the other systems in your body rely upon it. But one of the things I don't think we understand enough with metabolic health is how you get energy. When you're eating food, you're operating from that sugar burner system, and so you get energy that way. When you are fasting, you are operating from the fat burning system, so you get energy that way, and it is your liver that controls that metabolic switch. So if all of a sudden you're fatigued and you have a lot of muscle weakness, it's possible that your body, your liver, is actually not making enough energy. And then remember that many of these symptoms that I'm explaining to you need to be in combination. So if you're like listening to this right now and you're like, oh, well, my feet are swollen, hands are swollen. Yeah, it's a little tender underneath the right rib cage and it feels a little full. Then these are signs that you need to get to the doctor and have the doctor take a look at it, please. So This is why I do these videos, and I can't tell you how many people have sent me messages saying that in watching these videos, they diagnosed themselves, got to the doctor, and they caught chronic disease early. So this is no joke when I talk about those 3 symptoms.
So I came up with this idea of how do we use our community and come together to support organizations that are lifting women up. I will be profiling some of these incredible nonprofits that are raising up women that really need some extra support. Give like a girl, we are more powerful together, and I'm so excited to announce this project to you.
So now I want to give you 4 things you can do to reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So first one is my favorite, which is fasting. So specifically intermittent fasting, which is about 15 hours without food. And there's some cool research specifically on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease for fasting that I really want to quote for you. So this was a 2023 study, and it found that being in a calorie deficit extended the amount of time that causes your body to have to burn fat through the liver. Okay. Now that was a direct quote from this study. I'll put the link in the notes, but here I want to put it in layperson's terms. So what that is saying is that when a person goes into a fasted state, the longer they stay there, the more they clean up the liver. Because when food is not coming in and the liver knows that your survival depends upon ketones, it repairs itself. There's a lot of really interesting research out that's showing that our liver is so powerful that actually you only need like 20% of it to be functioning in order for it to do its job. Like that organ could literally lose 80% of its functionality, and it still could do everything that it needs to do for you. So when we fast, we are healing the liver. So if you have any kind of diagnosis that you've been given by your doctor, or any of those 3 symptoms I just gave you, you resonate with, let's start getting you to fast. I've written a whole book on it. It's called Fast Like a Girl. Men, you also can benefit from this book. And then the companion book, Eat Like a Girl, is showing you, and is available for order, is showing you how to clean up the sugar burner system. So those 2 books, Fast Like a Girl, Eat Like a Girl, are meant to teach you how to master this metabolic switch. And when you master the metabolic switch, you heal the liver. So the longer we stay in those fat burning place, the more healing can happen according to this 2023 study. Okay, so the first ways you reverse this is through fasting. Okay, second way is kind of something that falls in with the fasting lifestyle too that's really cool, and it's drinking coffee. Okay, let's unpack this for a moment. How can drinking coffee, and I'm not talking about toxic coffee, I'm talking about coffee that can help support great liver health. So a 2021 study found that drinking coffee decreased the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease by stopping it from progressing into more severe stages. And they believe that this is the case because of the high antioxidants. And I know you're probably thinking this, how much coffee should you be drinking? This study said that it was 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day. 2021 study from the University of Chicago says, let's all drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee every day, and we can prevent liver disease from happening. Now, I want to put a little asterisk on this, because this is not your franchised coffee. This is not your coffee mate. Like, this is good coffee. Just like I've taught you, there's a difference between carbs. There is man-made carbs and there are nature's carbs. There is toxic coffee and there is healing coffee. And healing coffee looks like this. No pesticides, so it needs to be organic. And it also needs to be mold-free. Many of the new, like more organic coffees are telling you now that it's mold-free. And you want to make sure that it's coming from a smaller batch farm. Shout out to my new favorite series. It's called Omnivore. It's so good. Go watch it. They did a whole episode on coffee that will make you appreciate coffee so deeply. So there's a lot of good in coffee, but it can't be toxic coffee. Okay, so now we have fasting that can help, and we have coffee that can help, and you can have coffee in your fasting window, so that matches really well. Okay, third step you can take to reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that's exercise. But not just any exercise. So this was a 2023 study found that 2.5 hours of moderate physical activity per week helped reverse. So remember, the fasting and the coffee were really about preventing liver disease from getting worse. Exercise, what they're saying here, is 2.5 hours a week. That's of moderate exercise. This isn't kill yourself exercise, can reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So lots of different ways you can do that. That could be as simple as walking, and walking briskly is a moderate exercise. So highly recommend that you look at getting that 2.5 hours every week of moderate exercise. And then the last one is really a supplement trick, or you can put it into food, which is turmeric. And there was an interesting 2019 study that found curcumin, which is that key healing capability or piece of turmeric, that it decreased both ALT and AST, which are two enzymes that go up, and you can go find this on your blood work, that go up with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So those of you, when you get your yearly blood work, there are some things that I want you to look at when it comes to your liver. I want you to look at your hemoglobin A1C. It should be around 5. If it's not around 5, more focus on metabolic switching so we can get you down into that safe place. With your ALT and AST, when those enzymes are elevated, and you'll either see it on your blood test where it's like a little red, it says high, or you look at the number and then see where that number is. Is it closer to the high end of the range, the reference range that's given on your blood test? But if it is, what this study says is that turmeric can really improve. It didn't give the amount of turmeric, but it can really create this anti-inflammatory effect that can really heal the liver. So that's a lot. Like in one short video here, I just gave you a lot of incredible information on how to diagnose and heal your liver. And ultimately, my prayer for you is that you don't get to that place where you're given a diagnosis of the disease. And another part of my prayer for you, and you're going to see this in all of my videos, is let's get off the ultra-processed foods. It is the toxic oils, it is the refined flours, it's the refined sugars, it's the chemicals put in food right now that is causing this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So let's clean that up, and let's diagnose ourselves, and then do the 4 steps I just gave you. They don't cost a lot of money, and anybody can do it. So I'm cheering you on. And if you've been reversing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, put it in the comments so we can all learn from you. But as always, I'm here to help you help yourself. And I hope that video really helped you see a wider picture of something that's starting to affect so many Americans. So hope that helps. Okay, if you loved this video, you're going to want to check out the next video of my food series. On this video, want to talk about the healthy foods that you might be eating that will stop you from a long and healthy life.